Hello, everybody. Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me loud and clear? Let me know. It just turned 8 o'clock where I'm tuning in from. Mondays are a late one sometimes, but wherever in the world you are tuning in from, I hope you had a great day. I've been looking forward to this workshop all day. That being said, hello to all 22 of you. Oh, it just jumped to 24. So we usually have a lot of people signing on within the first 5 minutes. So to fill this little gap, we'll get started at about five after. I'd love to read your introductions if you guys want to find your Q&A section on your Zoom window. That's where we're going to be communicating tonight. So I don't get to see your face or hear your voice, but I can read your comments aloud to the group when we do our activities and our discussions throughout the workshop. So yeah, let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and how long you've been with 99. Um, whether you are interested in modeling or acting or both. And while I go ahead and get ready to read all of your comments, there's also another raise hand feature. So I would like for those of you who have never attended one of my workshops before to find that raise hand feature and raise your hand so I can see who I am meeting for the first time on this lovely Monday night. Welcome. That always makes my heart happy that I can connect with some new people and also for the familiar faces and names who come back. My name is Alicia. I've been teaching these workshops since 2020. So all of these are created by me to give you insight into the modeling world. That is my perspective. That's my experience. I've been modeling since 2016 and I'm tuning in from South Florida. I'm originally from Connecticut, so I got my start modeling in New York City with no experience. And so a lot of these workshops that I've created over the past 6 years now are designed to help that beginner person. Acting and modeling go hand in hand. So a lot of the stuff that I teach can be applied to both, even though my experience is in the modeling world. I have worked my butt off, especially in the beginning when you are a beginner and you're learning everything. And some reason nobody's made like a study guide or anything for us. And it's a lot of just figuring it out as you go. So, yeah, these workshops were geared towards that mentality of just giving you guys all of the information that I wish that I had when I was first starting out. So yeah, I've been modeling for 10 years now. I've done a lot of commercial work for Target, J.C. Penney, Kohl's, Macy's, some department stores. I currently have a small little picture in Target, which was really cool. I flew up to New York to shoot that. But yeah, enough about me. We're going to get started in just a few minutes here, but I want to read what everybody is saying. It's good to see some familiar names. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We've got California in the house. So excited for this workshop. That's good. Yeah, I was here a couple times last week with you guys, so I am glad you guys were able to make it. Tonight's workshop is all about building that portfolio, which is funny because we're going to go over posing tips and all of that, but I just had a comedian message me today and asked me if I knew of any photographers because he needs new photos to market himself. And he had admitted that he gets very anxious over having his photo taken. So I'm actually trying to learn photography now. So I asked him if he would mind if I would be there to shadow the photographer and kind of help him out. So When we talk about a portfolio, or in tonight's workshop, yes, models need to be consistently building their portfolios, but this applies to actors and to comedians and anybody in this industry. You need to have that camera presence. You need to have photos that can market you in the right direction. So, my question for you guys, since I know I have a lot of beginners in here, or somebody mentioned they're just restarting it. One thing that you really have to understand, three things: physicality, persona, camera presence. These are vital pieces of your success. And what's brilliant about these things is, yes, you can work on them, but you can also capture them in photographs and then showcase that to the world. So, has anybody ever been captivated by an image? Maybe you were just scrolling, Instagram, or maybe you were in New York and you saw something on a billboard. That is what we are aiming to do, is have these images that really represent us and reach right into the heart of people who want to book us and give us money. And so we are aiming to capture our physical features, letting our persona shine through, and our camera presence, which is built over time and done through a series of understanding posing, but also understanding your own unique vibe. We're all different. There's not one way to pose for pictures. There's a million different ways to do it, but I want you guys to understand that without having these professional images done, it's next to impossible to get momentum in your career. So this is always step one. I taught a workshop earlier this week on digitals. So for modeling, acting, that would be step one, or one of one. They both go hand in hand, but these are the portfolio pictures that are almost like more professional. Uh, and usually we have styling, makeup, lighting, a mood, a whole thing that goes behind it. So we're going to talk all about that. So what you really need to be doing, even if you did shoot portfolio pictures, or let's say you guys, someone's in here and it's like, well, I have my headshots done already. I got them done 2 years ago. So in this industry, we like to update things every 3 to 4 months. I like to update my portfolio at least 3 times a year, just because I need these fresh images. And somebody recently broke it down to me that if you are using the same material to submit to the same casting departments, um, they're going to say, okay, we've already seen this before. We want to see the new stuff. And what's really great about this is that I could have submitted all of these beautiful images from 2 years ago, looking for representation or looking to get a job. And they might have passed on me. It happens a lot in this industry, so get used to that. But if you improve and post new ones, and get them on their computer screen and in their hands in front of them, they might say, wow, this model, I remember seeing their portfolio 2 years ago and they weren't a great fit then, but look how far that they've come. So that's why we need to consistently be building and proving our skills. So these, I don't know if you guys have done this workshop before. I know I have some new people in here, but I just received some new images. So this workshop is going to have all of my new portfolio images sprinkled in there, which I'm really, really excited about. Um, so the portfolios will market the model, and by model, I mean the talent. But we consider portfolios of images for models, especially. But every client needs to see pictures of you for consideration to book you, to give you money. And every agency, when they are representing talent, they need to have pictures of you so that they can put on their website all of the talent that they represent. And I've actually gotten jobs based on just a client who was in the Chicago area. They did a Google search, Chicago modeling agencies. They looked through the catalog of models and they picked me and they booked me, paid for my flight, had me out there. I think it was in Cleveland, but they booked it through my Chicago agency. So we want to have images for that. And there's also people who are getting work on social media too. So when you have these polished images that show your commitment and your skill on your Instagram, it's kind of a great invitation for somebody who sees it, who might be looking for a model, an actor, a comedian, to say, hey, you'd be a great fit. So they are literally ways to attract clients, get you seen, and pull people towards you. This is another beautiful one. This is a black and white. This is a very simple dress from Amazon. So we're going to talk styling a little bit later. So don't get too in over your head about, what am I going to wear? This was a $45 dress from Amazon. And after we're done, we return it. Unless, of course, I want to buy it from the stylist. But portfolios, I want to be clear. So sometimes we do work, like I have that ad up in Target right now. That image is not considered part of my portfolio. It's part of my, I guess you could say, resume of work that I've done. But a portfolio is completely different. And sometimes, if you do a job, you might be able to use some of the images for your portfolio, but it is extremely rare because they are images that we do with nobody being represented, no clothing line, no brand. They're just images that show you. They're professionally shot, they're edited. Maybe you have some versatile looks, styles, and settings. I love that the water is sparkling. That's such a beautiful setting to add to a portfolio. Most of them are like in studio, so you could have a white backdrop, a gray backdrop, but they're supposed to show your range and your potential, and they're supposed to captivate. So this image we're going for, we want, high-end luxury clients, maybe hotels, maybe beachwear, resort wear. So you can kind of tailor these images in the direction that you want. Your career to go. So right here, I said, what is a portfolio? It's a collection of photographs from test shoots. And test shoots are very simply images that you pay for. And it's a test of your skills. It's going to test the response to the images to see what new clients you can attract, what looks, styles, and moods look good on you, and what don't. Sometimes you do a test shoot and you decide that one look has to be completely scrapped because it's not working. That's part of the process. It's a test of your modeling skills, and like I said, who pays the model makes the investment for their photos. So, one big misconception in this industry, I've had a lot of my family members and friends be surprised when I break it down to them that being a model, actor, comedian, like anything else, it is an investment. So that comedian that reached out to me, he's in a place where he's willing to invest in photos for himself. So we have to pay a photographer. If we want a makeup artist on set who has experience, and does beautiful work, we have to pay them. If we want a stylist to pull beautiful clothes for us, we have to pay them. So, um, a lot of people would think, oh, well, shouldn't your agency be paying for your shoots? False. Your agency is here to help you get work, but you also have to help yourself, and make sure that you have the images that you can put out there. Now, I was always confused when they called it a test shoot. I didn't really understand if it was like a pop quiz or something, but it kind of is. So you have to kind of be ready to make that investment and then be willing to look at the results and see how you're doing. And it's kind of like a check-in, especially if you're doing these about 3 times a year. It's a little bit of a check-in to see where you're at and how your photos are translating. If you don't have a portfolio yet, that is perfectly okay. You can start your portfolio with clean, basic photos like this. This was shot with a photographer in her garage. She had a little backdrop that she put out. But I don't have this in my portfolio anymore because it's an old image. So as you continue testing, you can recycle the old ones and put back in the new ones that you've just invested in. So, very simple photos. I knew when I moved to Miami that a lot of the clients down here were going to be swimwear, or we have a lot of clients who come to Florida to have access to shoot in our beautiful weather, beautiful beaches, and things like that. So, I knew that I needed pictures on the beach. And that very first one in 2018, I was absolutely terrified because people were around, people were looking. I was shy in my bathing suit. I wasn't 100% comfortable. But then you just keep chipping away at it. And every single time that you do it and you put yourself out there, you can loosen up a little bit more. And at this point, I don't really care who's watching, or who's around because I know that I'm making the ultimate investment in myself and that it's going to pay off. Everybody else who's around looking is not paying your bills. They don't understand the industry. They don't understand what a great opportunity it is to be on the beach with a photographer getting your images redone. So this is something that I've been working at. And like the other image was before, it doesn't have to be a swimwear. Maybe it could be a beautiful dress. But just know that you will get better with time. This is one of my very first test shoot images. I was, what, 26, and I had just got signed with Wilhelmina in New York. They took a big, big chance on me. And this is a recent one that I took at the end of 2025. So that jean look, there are some styles that are just completely timeless. So jean, leather, stuff like that will never, ever, ever go out of style. So you can recreate those as you go on and you build. So this outfit here was styled. My hair was done by somebody on set who they don't just do your makeup and then they leave. You're paying them for the duration of this test shoot. So they're there to smooth any flyaways, keep applying product. Make sure your skin is glowing. So it is heavily worth the investment to have these professionals on your team. So some tips for your first test shoot. You want to connect with the photographer and team. This is very important so that everybody feels comfortable, they feel connected. This was a photographer that I had shot with two times previously in my career, so it was really nice to see him. And he complimented me on all the progress that I've made since he first shot with me, just based on movement and confidence. So we're all connected. The makeup artist that I hired to be on set with me, we drove up from Fort Lauderdale down to Miami. I must have picked her up at like 6 in the morning. And we got to have a lot of chats. And even when you're just getting your makeup and your hair done in the chair, that's such an important time to start building that connection. That really grounds you and gets you feeling comfortable. Another thing you really need to be comfortable with is imperfection. So, you think that, you take a beautiful model and every image must be perfect. That's not true. So, in any given amount of time, let's say your test shoot lasts 3 hours, the photographer might take up to 2,000 images, and there might only be 60 that are pulled for final selections. So that's the beauty of these moments that we have with a camera is that a lot of these images are not going to be winners, but we keep striving to try and keep switching things and trying things. And when you see an image that has every mark checked off, that's when it's really rewarding to see that, it was just that split second, just that one moment that was captured. So you will see imperfect images of yourself, which is why a lot of photographers don't share all 2,000 photos with you. They go through it, and that's what you're paying them for, and they select some of the best ones. But I can remember when I first started out, the photographer would turn the camera and say, "Look at these photos. Do you want to look through them?" And I would get a little discouraged because none of them were really doing it for me. But that is the beauty of to just keep trying and get those shots and trusting the process. So, vi having a vision in mind to refer to, that's part of the organization of the shoot, which is a requirement. We will discuss what a mood board is and why it's so heavily utilized in this industry. Another tip is get ready to learn and understanding that modeling is a skill, posing is a skill, um, letting your persona shine behind when you're in front of the camera is a skill as well. It's almost like a mind, body, spirit connection or just a mind thing, how much of your potential can you really unlock? And learning that is like chipping away and tapping away and seeing, what works, what doesn't. And that comes with experience and putting yourself in positions to humble yourself and to learn and take notes and say, okay, how can I get better? Getting rid of what if statements. I did talk about this with you guys earlier this week. And it's so funny because I don't know if you guys have put this into practice, but the other day, I don't know who it was. I can't think of it now, but it might have been one of my coworkers was talking and she was just like, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And I always tell you guys that if you ever catch yourself in a what if statement, remind yourself that you're foreseeing a future event that hasn't even happened yet. So, what can you do to focus on the here and now that you actually have control over? Because when you are looking so far into the future, you've left the present moment and you're kind of creating an anxiety reaction over things that haven't happened yet. So it's very common sometimes to pose the question, hey, well, what if this and what if that? So I want you guys to just stay focused. We're going to talk about preparing for these, getting your mood board together, and bringing all of the confidence too, because honestly, what do you have to lose? The best types of situations are always going to put you ahead where you can learn so much by just showing up. So, again, unlock your potential and be in that confident energy. So, speaking of confidence, we've reached our moment for an activity together. And I would love it if you guys could again find that Q&A section. And maybe if you're not going to participate, although I would love the feedback, maybe think about this for yourself. Jot it down, journal it down. How do you define confidence? What does it mean in your everyday life? How do you, yeah, I'm big on definitions. Um, So I guess you could, Google confidence and get the exact definition, but I want to know what it means to you in your life, in your modeling, in your acting career. And some other thoughts to consider once you get really clear on your definition is how would you rate your confidence right now on a scale of 1 to 10? And what are some ways that you can get to a 10? Or if you're already at a 10, what are some ways that you can stay at a 10? And I'm going to share with you guys how I've learned to define confidence because I used to always think that confidence would come once, physical attributes of myself changed, my skin, my hair. If I booked this client, then I would be confident. If I made X amount of money, then I would be confident. Um, And again, that's looking into the future, right? We want to focus on the here and now. What is it that we can do um, to have confidence? Believing more when when you look the way uh, the way you move radiates inner beauty. Yes, self-awareness in your purpose in any given situation, being comfortable within your skin, believing in myself that I can accomplish anything I set out to do, maturity in your arts. I like that. Knowing and trusting yourself. Trusting yourself is a big one. Being able to be yourself, amazingly fearless, trusting your inner self. Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever seen a very confident person on sets. I think a lot of the things you guys were describing was like an authenticity. Um, I think believing in your abilities is maybe more on the side of having faith. If we wanted to get very specific about confidence, I think confidence is something that you have to create. At least it is for me. And the only times that you're able to create that confidence is when you're doing new things. So if you are immersing yourself in this industry of modeling and acting, congratulations, you are opening a brand new chapter. And those new things can sometimes feel scary. But when we make it over the other side, when we realize, okay, I got this, that's when the trust in yourself happens. And let's say if you're gonna get all your ducks in a row to invest in your first test shoot, investing in yourself too is a way to create that confidence as well, because that is that is an inner belief that you are worth it. Um, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that it's a skill. I think it's literally something that you have to cultivate and find somewhere within you, and then put it to the test. And it's a decision. I also think that the most confident people that I've ever met are not afraid to look silly. They're not afraid to be a beginner at something. They relish in those new opportunities of doing scary things or what some people might perceive as scary, but brand new. So, one example for me was like showing up to yoga classes when I had never done yoga before. So most of the time, it's your own self that holds you back from showing up confident. But once you do that scary thing and you leave and you go home, that is when the confidence meter has just dialed up a few notches. And I think confidence is unlimited. There is an unlimited supply that you can build within yourself. And it comes with experiences. And it needs to be practiced too, because maybe you did something really scary 10, 15 years ago and you haven't felt super alive as you did then in any other experience because you haven't really put yourself out there in certain situations. Well, these test shoots are a perfect way for you to build that confidence and to practice. And once you practice showing up and doing the hard things, you will keep improving. I showed you guys that timeline of me on the beach. I have improved so much in my confidence, and it can be captured on camera, which is what we're really trying to get to. So next time you look at a photo of yourself, we are the worst critics of ourselves, and you start thinking, well, this could be tweaked, or why is my hair like that? Why is my nose like that? Why are my teeth like that? Why is my smile like that? Look at the overall picture And think about how much confidence you can bring. And that is an energy that has nothing to do with what you look like or what you're wearing. The most confident people, I mean, there's a saying, you could wear a garbage bag and be confident. So I hope that helps. That is a deep dive on confidence. And I love when I do this workshop because it's such a beautiful reminder for myself as well. We're gonna get right into the logistics. We need that visualization piece. This is very important if you are on a path to start building your portfolio. You need to put together a mood board, and people will be so impressed with you when you bring it up, whether you're emailing or you're on the phone, and you say, "Hey, I've got images for, I'll send you the mood board." Or I always like to ask the photographer for their feedback. Do you have any images? Or to my agents, I like to rope them in and say, do you have any examples or anything that I can add to my mood board? And it's basically a collage of images that is referenced by the entire creative team. The stylist needs to see it, the makeup artist needs to see it, the photographer needs to see it. And if you're not creating your own, you can have your agency help you out with a mood board because the agencies know what's helping models get booked and what is not. So they can literally give you examples, or you can go right on an agency website, look at other models' portfolios, and use those images as inspiration on your mood board. You're basically just going to sort through and see what images call to you. So, let's say you're based in Buffalo, New York. You can figure out the closest major city to you, modeling agencies near Buffalo, or anywhere. If you know the top agencies in New York or LA or Miami or Paris, just do a little, spend some time on the internet and look at what models are being represented by the top agencies and what do their portfolios look like, and get ideas. That is the amazing thing about this creative industry is that it inspires, and you start getting all these little brain synapses where you're like, okay, I'm cooking up some ideas in my head. I'm getting inspired by other creative people. And then you need to plan and organize. Planning and organize to me is the most time consuming thing. I can sort through models' pictures all day and pull images that captivate me. I love it. But maybe you're more of a hands-on person and you like to style shop. I've shopped for my own to try to cut costs on styling, especially if you're just starting out. You might just want a simple little inexpensive shoot where you bring a jean jacket, a white tank top, some of the examples that I have shown you, blazers. These things will never go out of style. I'm going to show you a lot of examples as we get kicking through this second half of the workshop. And then communication too. I've said it a few times, but getting your agent's opinion about what your portfolio needs is very, very important. Or let's say you put together a mood board and you wanted to show it to them for some feedback. Having that communication with your agent is really important because you guys want to make sure that you guys are on the same page because they have the connection. So at the end of the day, you bring the images to them and then they bring the images to their connection. So it is like a a relationship thing here that you need to make sure they're getting the material that they need. But it is really important to consider too, what kind of work do you want to book? Let's just think about it. What kind of clients do you want to work for? List out dream clients. I've done that so many times in my career. And then I go on their website and I look and see what kind of models they're hiring. I look on their Instagram and I find the models that they're working with. I go to those models' portfolios and I kind of see, what are the images that got them this job? Really, because it's all about the strength of your portfolio. So here are some examples. Right now, I'm really focused on booking skincare, makeup, fashion, but I know a lot of people like to do commercial modeling where they're actually doing lifestyle modeling, moving. Um, and I can't speak for acting because I haven't taken an acting class in years, but it is on my list of things to do. So I just love, I love looking at these images. So let's go through them together. This is what we call a beauty shot. This is an up close where you can see the texture of the skin, the texture of the hair. Maybe there's some big bold jewelry. These are the type of images that skincare clients need. So it really helps them to be able to see you in an example of what you could bring to their brand. So these are some beauty shots that I've shot in the past. I love pairing it with a bright color. So this image on the left with her green turtleneck. When you are pulling images for your mood board, you're not just going to look at it and say, okay, I need to find a green turtleneck. I need to find pearl earrings. It's all about your interpretation. So I found a green dress. I knew we were going to be shooting on the beach in Florida. Instead of my hair down, I did my hair up to show bone structure and all of that. So that's considered more of like a bright beauty shot. And then you have like the dark, edgy one too. That's more shadowy, that's more intense. That could be like a perfume ad or something, or a jewelry ad. So you really kind of want to try to visualize where you're going with this and what is the purpose of these shots. I love the stoic hands on the face. I love the texture of the sweater. So these are all different things that you have to think about. Textures, backgrounds, you can shoot in a studio or you can shoot outside. This one looks like it was shot in like a warehouse of some sort. And I love this action shot here up top where it looks like he was just maybe jumping on set and just trying to create that connection with the camera. Maybe that is for New Balance and they inspire people to move and to be active. So, what again is the purpose behind your images? You want them to kind of mean something, to give your career a direction. These are some images too that I've been really proud of over the years, and I always like to throw these in because the ones on the right were just a collaboration of a photographer that I networked with. He was looking to start his photography business. I was on the brink of my brand new modeling endeavor. We decided to link up. We were in complete creative control, and I did my own makeup and I did my own hair that day too. I brought all of my own clothes. And I didn't have to pay him. All I had to do was invest my time. So those are scenarios that if you're really serious about networking, you could propose that. And the wording is delicate. You have to make sure that you're not assuming that you can just get things for free. It's got to be just like a total vibe match. And those are some of the best photos I feel like that I've been able to create. And so every once in a while, I do love to try to do those projects where it's just for fun and we're just trying to create together. And then think outside the box too. So I love how this model took this chair and sat in it a completely different way. So think outside the box. I love that this set here appears to be sheets to give that texture. Um, and I just love the poise that this young man is sporting on the right side over here. And it's a very simple outfit, a fresh white tank top and fresh jeans. Now, when you're styling, I just want to remind you guys that you can always go and do a little haul, save the receipt, keep all the tags on, and return it, which is kind of fun. So I get a little stressed out about shopping because of all of the options, but I try to remember, what's going to be interesting to look at, what are some cool textures, what vibe am I going for, what simple basics can I just bring as well. And these are shots that are done outside. These are the lifestyle shots. I've still been really wanting to get to a tennis court. But next time you take a drive in your car, look around the scenery around you and see where would be a good park, maybe that you could get some shots in. Maybe you live by a body of water, something like that, something that you can show your lifestyle skills being outside. And then movement is so important. We're going to get right into the posing piece of this workshop. So like I said in the beginning, there's not one way to pose. I can give you all the tips to help you feel comfortable with movements in your body when you're on camera. But this is just so unhinged to me, this pose over here, that I just want to know like what music she was listening to, what the vibe was with her and the photographer. It's just so beautiful. And if I were a modeling agency or a casting agency, I'd want to book her. I'd want to work with her because that shows to me that she's super comfortable and she's going to give a lot of variety and can give definitely different out of the box poses. Something simple like this too. This could be done in a corner of a house with some nice lighting. Um, I just love the body language where it shows like, hey, I'm super comfortable. You want me to model your clothes and work on your project. That's me right in the middle, big old smile. I've closed my eyes before. I'm trying to express joy. I love this shot on the left here. Definitely shows her body proportions, which is super important too. But you could have a nice structured coat. You could have a little athleisure outfit. I love how the wind's in the hair, the big smiling. So there are, as you can see, a ton of options. So you really kind of want to just figure out what you're trying to go for. And maybe you throw in a little bit of each. Maybe you do a look for each one to get all of the most bang for your buck. But ultimately, it's not going to be about the clothes or the makeup or the location. It's the product that we're selling is you. So keep that in mind through your expression and your creativity because people want to pay you for your ability to, again, captivate and inspire. So if you can do that for people who are looking for models or actors, um, then your career is going to start taking off. So you don't want to hold back. You want to create that gaze into the camera like I have here. And that's work. That does not just come easy. That's intentional posing and intensity behind my eyes that I had to learn over the years how to build. Now, when we're talking about captivating and inspiring, your body is the vessel through which your soul speaks. Every moment you are being a full statement of your being. You're sending out vibrations that emanate from you. I will never forget the first time I heard the word emanate because I kind of understand it, like English language wise, but to actually define it was really important for my understanding of it. And it's to express a quality or a feeling through the way that you look and behave, to flow out from a source, to send forth or emit. So think about, literally just think about, close your eyes and think about light that you have to send forth through your being and through your posing and through your energy. And that is what good models and good actors are so focused on training that skill of being able to emanate an emotion, a feeling, or even just a statement. That is what they get paid the big bucks for. So these test shoots, and when you build your portfolio, you're really working on getting good at that. And I love that we have tangible proof of it when we get our images back, that we can show people that says, "Hey, I know what I'm doing. Look, here's the proof." So some tips for posing is to capture the off moments. So that's a big thing that I learned on later in my career is that you don't have to always be so up in the camera's face. bring in different looks. Sometimes you could just look off and laugh to yourself, like I've done in these images here, or think of something really silly, and crack that smile. You want to have some very relaxed shots, like those poised shots that I showed you guys earlier. But then, of course, you can have more structured shots as well. So it's just kind of the fluidity of moving between those different um, poses. I call them poses, but really it's movement. So when the camera clicks, that's your cue to change something. So imagine being a photographer and you're trying to, somebody's paying you to get good images of them, but they're just standing there with their hand on the hip, doing the exact same thing, standing in the exact same place, and they're not giving you variety. So just move around, that is the key. And then when I asked this one model, because I couldn't understand how she was so good at posing on set when we have to model our outfits. That's a whole different animal um, than being in your portfolio phase of just getting photos that showcase you. But when you're on set and you have 40 different outfits that you have to bang through all day, she was knocking them out like this. And she said that she stood in front of her mirror and played a song that was fast paced, and every time the beat dropped, she studied her poses in the mirror. Like just like that. It almost kind of seems robotic, but again, we need to practice and we need to see ourselves. Again, we are the product that we are trying to sell. So we have to really know ourselves. And sometimes that's a little cringy to stand in front of the mirror or record yourself performing a monologue, but we have to do it. More tips for posing is shifting your weight. So if we were to stand even weight on both feet, but then we shift it and shift up the weight from hip to hip, that is kind of how we create that like cool pose of like just being relaxed. And that's a way to kind of change things on the beat is just shifting your weight. You can also remember the triangle method. So in his chair here, he's got three triangles that he is creating with his body. One with his ankle over his knee, one with his wrist on top of his knee, and the other one with his arm leaning like this on the chair. So we want to think triangles. In that other picture, he's got a triangle between his legs. He's got two triangles by his sides, and that creates structure. And then when you add all of that in together and you build that connection to the camera, that's when you have an image that goes and wakes people up and they say, I need this model in my next project. So it's really about combining all of that together. Now, you could have the most beautiful backdrop and the most beautiful outfit, but if you're just standing there staring at the camera and you're not creating any intensity, or you're not emanating anything out, then your images are not going to captivate. So here is a perfect example of this is like really crazy how much energy they're sending forth. And as you can see, they're not afraid to look stupid. They're not afraid to try new things and to take risks. So, this is what makes you interesting to look at, which is a whole other way to market yourself. That is me all the way on the right center. That photo is pretty cool. I always forget about that one. That photographer was kind of a nut. He was a little intense for me, but basically he just told me to say the word you. And so that created that image. But imagine in the middle, if I had scruffed my eyebrows together, that could have been really interesting as well. So study other models, let them inspire you, and remember to give different expressions and angles. Practicing your smiles. So that is that intensity behind the eyes that we want to build. That's smiling with your eyes rather than just staring into the camera. We want to practice that smile. So everybody, hold a smile right now and see what happens with your eyes when you hold a smile. Now drop the smile and hold that tension in your eyes where it's going to create more of a gaze, where you're literally looking into the soul of somebody and saying, you need to buy this blazer, right? And that's what they're hiring us for. The AEIO method is good for your mouth expression too, so that we don't have too much tension in our lower face. So just softly say, AEIOU, and notice all the different ways that it poses your lips. And then the square method too. Imagine your head is in a square, and we're gonna just drop our chin and try to trace the square. I don't know if you guys have played like Mario Kart or whatever, but imagine you're driving around and you're painting a square with your chin. But how can you do it on camera so that you have all these different angles? So if you put all of that together, you can have a really captivating image. Another thing that I have to touch upon is the soft hands. So if you want to get your hands in the shot, it's not going to be like how I would be in real life. If I was listening to somebody talk for a while, I was stretching my skin out like this. I'd have to like place them ever so gently, and I'd have to kind of play around with my hands and move them around really soft. So sometimes when we're nervous and we're trying new things, we don't realize how much tension we actually hold in our hands. So I really want you guys to practice soft hands, even when they're in your pocket or like he has grabbing onto his jeans. It's just ever so slightly. And then, of course, we want to change the direction of our gaze too. So that eye contact with the camera is powerful, but also, like I said in the beginning, capturing those off moments. So don't be afraid to look away in other directions as well. It can be really beautiful. Some inspiration for posing if you aren't willing to look like a foolish beginner. You can never become a graceful master. So put yourself in those situations where you might look a little silly or you might be learning, and that's okay because that's what confident people do, right? They put themselves in situations where they can learn. They ask questions, they try new things. Some more posing tips from Tyra Banks herself is no limp noodles. So unless you're doing like a full-on poised slouchy effect and maybe you're leaning in a chair and slouching, that's fine, but you don't want to be like that the whole shoot. So you want to, again, put some tension in your limbs. So at the end of a day, I might be kind of sore in my lower back, in my traps here, because I'm constantly moving and trying different angles. And I'll go switch between being slouched to being upright. It's called head to toe tension. So you want to vary between a limp noodle and head to toe tension. No neck monsters. If you start to study other models' photos, I want you guys to let me know if you ever find a photo where the neck is not shown. Because as soon as you take a neck out of a photo, it looks closed off and it looks like it's missing a really important piece. So we always want to try to elongate our neck and get it to be in the shot no matter what. So if we find ourselves hunching or hiding in the clothes a little bit, remember that you need to see the neck. No hoochie moves, which this picture on the left is so powerful that I don't think that it's a hoochie move. It shows definitely thinking out of the box. I think hoochie moves are pretty self-explanatory, so I always want to try to take it into a fashion element, right? And then I love her quote, the more dumb we feel while posing, the cuter they look. So the goal is to capture your uninhibited self. Uninhibited means expressing one's feelings or thoughts unselfconsciously and without restraint. Took me a really long time to model unselfconsciously. Now I've known from all of my years of experience, it doesn't really matter. I have to speak kindly to myself. Um, and again, I am the product that I need to sell. So if I'm self-conscious, then nobody's going to want to hire me. So I have to talk to myself like I'm the biggest badass in the world, and not be bothered by any little thing and just try to grow and to expand. Trusting yourself and your team is also another big element, to be uninhibited too. Listen to the photographer's feedback and take their direction. So when we're hiring a photographer, and we're paying them, we want to pay for their experience too. So make sure that they have a voice and that they are telling you, chin down, hold that pose. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, switch it up, switch it up. Oh, I like when you did that. So there is like a dialogue happening. So you're not just being thrown out there. So really trust your photographer. I'm sure it's going to really empower them when you ask them for advice as well. So that is your job, is to really follow the direction of the team, but also follow your own flow and bring your own dynamic energy to that set. And also know that they're placing a lot of trust in you. They're trusting you to emote, to move, to give expression. So that is the Holy Trinity there. I loved how these pictures came out. These were super loose jeans, and I love that because it gives off like a more relaxed vibe. But the crop trench coat is a little bit more polished, but still relaxed. The hair, the makeup, everything was really on point. And I'm so glad that I invested in this test shoot. We just got the images back last week. So now we're really trying to blast them out so I can get some new clients. But a standard test is going to be, I think when we booked this, it was from 8:30. We got there in the morning and we were wrapped by 12:30. So 3 to 4 hours max. And you should have a few looks planned, whether that's in the mood board or your stylist is helping you or you shopped for the outfits. I want to remind you guys that if you want to take on that task, you can put the looks together and return them. And then also loop your agent in and say, hey, what looks could I benefit from having in my book? Do you have any examples I can include in my mood board? I'm trying to build my portfolio. So that communication piece as well. And then for the makeup artist, if you have a makeup artist who's going like heavy glam, full glam on you right on the first look, that is a red flag. Every makeup artist should know that you want to start off very, very, very simple. It's almost like we're looking for the no makeup look. So we didn't do anything heavy here, but in the past I have done some really edgy with like black eyeshadow, wet hair, big chain jewelry, just some really cool edgy stuff just to have fun and play. But this one was more conservative because I'm really looking to break back into the New York market. So I need like very simple looks, but you just want to start simple and then build on it. And once you get to the end of the day, that will be a wrap. And you will have all this proof in these images of how beautiful and how capable you are. And when people see your images, they're going to want to hire you. They're going to want to put you in their film. They're going to want to meet you. They're going to want to call you in for an audition or call you in for a runway walk. So you have to have the beautiful images. And also remind yourself you are a work in progress. So it's a learning as you go. But I could not have built my portfolio without the input of a team. And I like to work with different photographers and different stylists and different makeup artists because they all bring something very unique and we all have these creative gifts. And so when it's all bundled up into a project, it really makes for beautiful images that you can be proud of, and that you can confidently put out there. So, what every artist must learn is that even the failed pieces are essential. I did say that, I've had some looks before that didn't really generate a good response, or maybe I had to do the edgy look to really learn that maybe edgy isn't my lane, and maybe I should just stay in my lane. It's all part of the learning process. So, I want you guys to start pulling some images for your mood board. Start organizing, maybe start contacting people, communicating, and say, I'm a beginner or I'm, re-entering this industry. I'm really looking to build my portfolio. If you guys have any questions or need any one-on-one help, I'm here for you. You can email me, or you can follow me on Instagram or reach out to me on there, although email would probably be best. And we have one more workshop. It's not till the end of next week, so keep a lookout for it. I'm not really sure at this moment because I can't see my calendar. But if you enjoyed this workshop, please come back. You can always come back for a refresher. I'm here 4 times a month. I have 8 different workshops that I offer on rotation. So please keep a lookout for my offerings, and I really, really hope to be able to share this Zoom room with you guys again in the future. So I hope everybody has a lovely rest of their night. And I'm trying to open the chat. What did I do here? Q&A. I just want to see what you guys are saying. Alicia, thank you. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, get creative and believe in yourself and build that confidence. You got this. And I'm here to support you guys. So I'll see you guys in the future. Best of luck to you all.